I'm Lucy and this is my mum Julie.
Hello, I'm Lucy's mum and welcome to Growing Up in 1970s Britain High School Days. This video is really special to me. It's about my school days and my very best friend's school days too.
I'm Carolyn. I now live in Ontario, Canada and grew up in Hunstanton, Norfolk.
Hello, I'm Shirley. I live in Old Hunstanton. I was Shirley Smith from Hunstanton.
Hello, I'm Sandra and I live in East Sussex. I was Sandra Mickelberg from Hunstanton.
My name is Julie Atkins. I currently live in Phoenix, Arizona. I used to be Julie Mickelborough and I lived in a village called Snettisham in Norfolk.
I wasn't born yet. I know this is a big year for you guys, so let's do a toast to you and your friendship and your memories. Cheers!
Cheers everyone! Cheers!
Clink!
Oh, clink!
So how did you guys all meet?
Well, Carolyn, we sat next to each other in Mr. Maiden's, didn't we, in Junior 1?
Yes, I remember that. I remember the first day you came to school, Shirley. I thought you had a green pinafore dress. A pinafore! Who's heard of those things for a long time?
They're pretty much vintage now.
Yeah, like us.
Yeah. We improve with age, like a good wine.
Yeah, or a nice cheese.
Sandra and I think we met when we were really young because our dads are sort of related a little bit distantly. So we think we did meet, but we don't remember it.
I think we were babies, weren't we, at the time?
No, yeah.
As I lived in the same village as you until I was 3.5.
Those villages are a bit like that. Everyone knows everyone.
Well, definitely.
I met Sandra in Mr. Arnott's class, didn't we, Sandra, properly, and we sat next to each other.
I remember we would walk to school, wouldn't we, together? And Shirley would safely take me over the road by holding my hand.
Aww.
Were you nervous about starting high school?
I tell you what I was most nervous about. I was so nervous I didn't want to go. Was that I'd heard about the showers in PE. When we actually went to school, they were just as bad as I imagined. You had to strip off in the changing room and put a towel around you. Then you entered the showers and there were several showers in a quadrangle and you had to hand the towel to the teacher who would look you up and down. And then you had to walk in file around all the showers and then get your towel at the end. And it was so embarrassing. Because we were all changing, going through puberty at different times. It was horrendous. Do you remember that?
I remember it, yeah.
No, I don't. Probably blocked it out.
Oh, Sandra's probably, hey, what the heck?
I think my memory's probably not as good as yours.
That's not a bad thing to forget.
It was horrible. I hated it.
I did. It's very humiliating, I found, to be honest.
Know.
Look at Dan and smile, didn't they?
Yeah, it was embarrassing.
I think I used to hang back and pretend I'd been in sometimes because I don't remember going in very often.
Well, they must have kept an eye on me then because I always was made to go in. They always found me in a corner.
What were your favourite subjects?
My favourite subject would be history and then accounts and office practice would be mine.
Was the history teacher your favourite teacher though, Sandra?
No, he'd be my worst teacher because he always picked on me.
Probably because you were good at it.
He picked on me and made me, I can't remember if he put me in the cupboard. He had a cupboard that he'd make you go in or whether he put me outside the class and then give me detention.
I didn't like domestic science. I still don't like domestic science.
Did the boys do domestic science?
No, that was my pet peeve because I didn't want to do domestic science and needlework. I wanted to do woodwork and metalwork and you weren't allowed to.
That wouldn't fly nowadays either, I don't think.
We had 2 domestic science teachers. In one of the classes, we were making jam one day. There was a group of girls making jam and they were pouring in, washing up soda and stuff in the jam, putting all kinds of stuff in it that shouldn't have gone in it. This jam was going to be sold or given away for charity or something.
I remember once you just reminded me that we had to make a rabbit pie And my dad refused to let me buy rabbit meat because it was in the days of myxomatosis. So I wasn't allowed to buy it. So I had nothing available. So on the way there, I asked Mum to stop at the shop and she got me a tin of Time brand meat, Time brand steak. So I bought this tin and the ingredients for the pastry, and the domestic science teacher went berserk in front of the whole class, holding this tin of meat.
The teacher was our guide captain.
Yes.
And I remember that when we wanted to leave guides, Carolyn, Shirley and I had to all go together because we were so worried what the hell she was going to say when we said we wanted to leave. And then she seemed to be all right about it.
Pleased to see the back of us, right?
I remember for inspection trying to hitch up my skirt because it looked so old-fashioned because it was knee length and I wanted it as a mini skirt. And when the guide captain came round, I was always told to put my skirt down lower. And then we had to do boring badges like looking after children or cooking.
I'm with the others. I hated domestic science. I hated needlework. I loved history and English.
Remember the cross-country runs we used to
Oh,
do?
God.
We used to run all through the fields, didn't we? All through the farmers' fields.
There'd always be a little gang of smokers behind a
That's what
barn
I
or
was
somewhere.
thinking.
Yeah.
I expect there was.
One day I decided to try, really do it properly and run as fast as I could. When I got back to the gym, I threw up everywhere.
Oh!
What did you think about wearing a uniform?
Used to hate the colour navy.
I didn't wear navy for a long time after leaving school because I was so sick of it.
No, it was all right. I didn't mind wearing a uniform, I suppose, because it just made it easy to know what to put on every day.
I think we tried to extend the boundaries of it, didn't we? Like we used to have those big winged collars.
In the summertime, we used to wear either sort of mid-blue and white checked dresses or striped dresses instead of the navy skirts and stuff. You'd have these dresses.
But what about the fashions of the time?
Oh, yeah.
Hot pants,
Yeah.
especially with a little bib and dungarees. Big wedgie shoes, flares, yeah.
Big platforms, wedges.
And we did have pinafore dresses and things that we wore.
This might have been a little later, but did any of you ever go for the punk rocker look?
Yes.
No.
Me and my brother were huge punk rockers. Not full, we didn't wear safety pins and we didn't really glue our hair, but we kind of got the sort of vibe of punk rock.
What were school dinners like?
Shirley and Carolyn's mum were cooking them.
Oh!
You can't really say anything bad.
Oh, they were very good dinners, though, weren't they? When you think about it, they were very good.
They were fantastic. And the roast potatoes, the rice pudding. And what about the meals you didn't like? I hated the liver.
Oh yeah, I hated liver. I can't eat the stuff now. That definitely put me off.
You know what I really loved? Spam fritters. Does anybody remember?
Oh, yeah, they were very good. Yeah.
Really loved them. They sound terrible, don't they? But they were nice. Spam fritters, chips and baked beans.
I always loved chips and baked beans anyhow.
That's a good combination.
Yeah.
Really healthy dinners we had, didn't we?
Yeah.
And there was all those lovely puddings that we had,
Oh,
like the spotted dip pudding.
I used to love the yogurts. They were really lovely, and they used to serve them up in little tiny glass
Yeah,
things.
it was a little glass, wasn't it? Yeah.
yogurt in those days was kind of a new thing. It was kind of a special dessert. It was foreign.
Oh,
Because, everything was normally very British, wasn't it?
The first time I had yogurt was when I went to tea at Shirley's. I think it was when she first came to Hunstanton, and we had those ski yogurts. You remember those ski sort of fitness food yogurts?
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
Your mum, Shirley, couldn't believe that I'd never had a yogurt before, because that was the first time I'd ever had one.
Do you remember the little super mousse in the little tubs? They were a treat, weren't they?
Those were good, yeah.
Sandra, I have to say, when I went round your mum
pudding,
and dad's for Sunday lunch, or if I slept over on Saturday, your mum would do a massive Yorkshire pudding as a starter with gravy.
Yeah.
And then your mum used to do the crumble, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, apple crumble. Lucy now makes the crumble, don't
Yeah,
you?
she taught me.
Oh.
Yeah. How did they discipline you?
you'd get detention or you'd have to go to see the headmistress.
I remember being constantly told off for talking, especially when I was sitting next to Shirley.
Who was that from?
That was from Mr. P. And he used to say, "Stop talking, you silly little girls."
Will you be quiet?
Do you remember the little Irish teacher? Well, we had to talk about the birds and bees, because I remember we had a television programme, and I remember it was a particularly good one, and we were all super excited, and we were so excited that we were making so much noise that the teacher refused to let us watch it. We had to all go back to the classroom without seeing it. We were gutted.
What were you so excited?
We were watching Sex Education on the TV.
I can remember my mum giving me some leaflets and books to look at.
Get on with those. Read those, Sandra.
In biology, we used to have to take turns reading out of the textbook. And I had to read a piece one day, and I was reading along, and the word organism came up. And I didn't say organism, I said organism. And the whole class just erupted. And it was Miss Carroll's class, and she was going, "Cut them, don't be so silly, it's just a mistake."
Didn't she? Oh my gosh, you went mad. Well done, Carolyn. Well done.
Did you ever go on any school trips?
Sandra and I didn't we, Sandra?
We did, yeah. We went to the French Alps, which was very nice, wasn't it? We went to Geneva and...
We went on the cable car from hell. It was between two mountains up towards in the Mont Blanc region, you know, in the Alps. And I was terrified. I remember one girl, it was Sharon, laid horizontal on the cable car because she was
I just know we didn't want to go and they made us go. I still don't like them to this day, but I think they then said that somebody had an accident, hadn't they?
The cable car had actually fallen to the ground and killed everybody not that long before.
It was so incredibly high. But the thing I remembered was the don't talk to the French boys, don't smoke, don't go to the pub, don't drink.
Well, seems reasonable.
We kind of did everything. And Sandra and I are very good, and some of our friends, we didn't go to the pub until the last night.
So we went to the pub on the last night, and we think we were sneaked out by somebody because the teachers arrived.
And I remember, been there long, had we? I don't think.
We haven't been there long, so we weren't that bad. We'd already had a couple of lagers, hadn't we? I can't remember.
I would have thought, yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, we were all marched home along this sort of railway
line, yeah.
And then we got back to the hotel, and all hell broke loose.
When we were walking back, I think one of the teachers said that I was kissing this boy and all over him, but I don't think I was. I think he was making that up. When we got home, we worried what our parents would say. They were more annoyed that our holidays had been ruined. And then I went in the next day, but Julie didn't come in. We had to stand in front of the whole assembly.
The ones who didn't come back that first day, and I was one of them, we were so tired, we were travelling all day, all night. They made us then stand up in front of the whole school and shamed us in front of the whole school. Yeah. It was awful. Did they go the following year? Did they decide not to?
I think they probably did go the following year.
And I think all the parents were so happy to have their children back, because it was a big thing back in the day, especially to go abroad. Like, my parents hadn't been abroad, and that was the first time I think you and I had been abroad.
Mine would have been.
Yeah, we were just being teenagers, really. Nothing terrible happened.
But I suppose they were responsible, weren't they? It was
imagine being a teacher trying to control all those teenagers.
What did you do at break times?
If it was wet weather, we had to go to our wet weather rooms, didn't we? Do you remember those? Everyone would be crowded in a form room, wouldn't they? And it was awful. You just had to sit there, didn't you, and bide your time.
Yeah, I remember going out on the school field, and it was often really cold, and we'd sort of huddle in our coats or whatever, and we'd have a transistor radio. I think the top 20 was released on Sunday, but there was something on a Tuesday, I thought.
I don't remember anything on a Tuesday. I mean, I remember listening to see what was number one on a Sunday, and then watching Top of the Pops on Thursday.
Late at night in bed, transistor by your ear on the pillow.
Yeah, under the covers, because you were supposed to be asleep.
And you used to have a cassette recorder, and you'd record things, wouldn't you, off the radio?
Well, talking about music, should we talk about music now?
Oh yeah, let's talk about music.
It was glam rock time. Oh, and it was such a fun time, wasn't it, everyone? Shirley, do you remember Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel and the Psychomodo?
There we go, yeah.
And one of the tracks had some very Interesting lyrics.
Rather explicit.
Very explicit, and because we thought it was hilarious and we kept singing it, didn't we, Shirley? Right?
We never stopped singing it, have we, really?
You're going to sing some of it now.
Oh no.
Oh, I wouldn't encourage that.
I liked David Essex and David Cassidy.
David Essex was a real hunk.
He still is to me.
Queen absolutely love, and David Bowie was always my favourite. I remember you were all going to see Mud at King's Lynn.
I think Carolyn and Shirley went because I didn't go. I've never forgiven them for that. I don't know why I didn't go.
I know why I didn't. This is a letter to my dad. It had a little picture on the front. Dear Dad, please may I go to see Mud on February the 2nd at King's Lynn Corn Exchange. Admission is 80p. And you pay at the door. If we go, may Gillian come as well, as we both think Muds are great. Now you won't say no, will you? Please. Love from Julie. P.S. You are handsome. Thanks. Loads of kisses. But he still wouldn't let me go.
How can you say no?
Shirley, was Mud the one we went to with your dad? And we were wearing those hippity skirts.
Yeah, we were, Carolyn. Matching long floral maxi skirt, blue and white flowers, or purple and white flowers, weren't they? And I can remember we met my cousin Jenny and she said, whatever are you wearing them for?
She did, yeah, I remember that.
They just didn't want me to go, obviously, did they?
They didn't want you to go, Sandra.
I don't know if we asked you or not. I can't remember.
Odds not.
Obviously not.
I don't know. Maybe we thought Julie was going and there wasn't room in the car. I don't know.
I think they're just trying to make excuses now, Sandra.
I
They
know.
obviously didn't want you to go. Yeah.
Maybe you didn't have the right floral skirt or something.
That's probably it.
That's what it was, yeah. She ended up matching out.
Because the other time I wasn't let out, you guys were all going to the Kit Kat, to the discos there in Hunstanton at the front. And I begged my dad for ages to let me go, and he wouldn't. And the first time he let me go, can you remember what happened?
The fight between Kingsley and Hunstanton.
And we all had to get out, and a friend of ours, Tony, got his glasses broken. But it always used to happen, like when we used to go to the Snettisham discos. You know, there was always fights with boys from Snettisham and King's Lynn or Dersingham or Hunstanton or whatever.
There seemed to have been a lot of rivalry back in the day, didn't there, though?
They don't need much of an excuse to fight at that age, right?
Well, I think there was fights for quite a few weeks before that.
We were allowed to drink in pubs and at dances from a very early age. I mean, how old were we when we used to go to dances with your parents, Sandra?
Probably about 14, 15, but I don't think you were probably meant to be drinking. It's just if somebody would buy you a
Buy
drink.
you
I think
drink.
you're allowed to be there at 16, but I don't think you were supposed to be drinking until you were 18.
No. But we went in pubs and got drinks, didn't we? I think they thought we were older than what we were. Do you remember what we used to drink back in the day?
Vodka and
lime.
Or martini and lemonade or Shinzano.
Classy.
Classy, but not when you're sick of them.
I don't recall ever getting questioned about my age or anything.
There wasn't ID and stuff like
No,
that in
I
those
don't
days.
think we did in those days.
Not like these days. It's a totally different thing, isn't it, now?
Were any of these ladies here when you set that boy's hair on fire?
Who was that?
I used to have discos in my garage. We used to obviously have cigarettes and things.
So anyhow, we were doing, do you remember the status quo dance? And we were all dancing in the middle with a cigarette in our mouth, and Johnny had this
White fluffy hair, and we used to call him Candy Floss. And it was like, so we were doing this, and I had a cigarette in my mouth, and Johnny went forward, and his hair just went out.
What would we have been, about 14? We both had, well, I think we all had a long leather coat. And I used to go to visit Julie once a week. I used to go on the bus in the evening, didn't I, Julie? And we used to buy these cigarettes called San Moritz. They were menthol, so they were really good.
Really cool, yeah.
Go off with Julie with our long leather coats on and a San Moritz.
We thought we were so cool. Do you remember, guys, we used to go to West Runton Pavilion?
It was the place to be, wasn't it? It was the place.
Julie, we went to West Brampton.
I think it was Adam and the
Adam and the
Ants.
Ants you went to see, didn't you?
And I think the Damned were there.
I just remember that we were lining up outside and it was just, everybody was crushing. It was like getting crushed.
And I remember me and my brother, we got in really quick. And you and Mark were ages before you got in. We were right there.
I didn't go in. We was getting so crushed in that lineup that you probably don't remember. I asked you for the keys to the car and I went and sat back in the car because I didn't like being crushed in that lineup. Oh, I know you said it was bad inside as well. Didn't you get knocked to the floor or something?
I might have done, but it's all part of the punk rock experience.
I figured it was too dangerous.
Well, we had a great time. I think it was at that concert. I'm not sure if it was a different one, but the Damned were there. Their guitarist was completely out of it. So somebody from another group played guitar.
I remember being there once and there was a group called Dart and the guy used to always jump out into the audience.
We saw loads of bands there, masses. Elvis Costello, didn't we? Going back over the years, even Chuck Berry and people like that, they all played there.
Any holiday jobs or any weekend jobs during high school?
We worked in a chemist shop, Limes. We were terrible. We would always giggle all the time. I remember on many occasions, young guys would come in wanting to buy what we call condoms. And I remember this guy once came in and he came to the counter and he asked for a pack of Durex.
I had this ruler in my hand. Now, I had this ruler in my hand because I had to measure the medicine bottles. They had to be a certain distance away from each other. So I had this ruler in my hand and I said, what size?
What we should do is actually have a toast to our parents, Well, my parents are both deceased, as you all know, Anne and John.
Anne and John.
Anne and John.
Mine are Biddy and Tom and they're deceased as well.
Biddy and Tom.
And mine are Janet and Colin. They're still alive. Thank goodness at the moment.
Janet and Colin. And mine are Rosemary and Ron. And they're still there in Snettisham. Rosemary and Ron.
Rosemary and Ron.
Yeah,
Oh, and I just have to do this because Ronnie will never forgive me. A big kiss coming your way, Ron.
Hey.